Hi everybody, Andrew Cuneo back with draft 2 of day 2 of the Arena Open. So the structure, I got to win. Don't have any more losses to give, and I've got to get to at least 2 wins to start getting cash. I am ready. Come on, something good. If you watched the first video, which was draft 1, I did not really open something good. I opened something okay. Alright, so Vadmir is like, I think it's what I'm going to pick here. I would not say that this is an incredible card. It's pretty good. I think it's better than all the black commons, probably. The uncommons, Outlaw Stitcher and Intrepid Stable Master are certainly fine. Return the Favor I do not think is a card you should really play with at all. Yeah, this is not a particularly standout selection of commons either. So I guess this is a pretty easy pick. It's not an amazing way to start a draft, though. For a while, I wasn't sure if this card, Vadmir, is actually better than Blood Hustler, the kind of similar uncommon that starts as a 1/1 and then builds up on crimes as well, and it never gets to the Menace lifelink part. According to 17 Lands data, at least this is better. Am I going black-red again? This thing is an outlaw, and I do like... I mean, Hellspur Brute is kind of a reason to be black-red, because you can wind up getting really good curve-out draws with this if you're... Yeah, especially if you have one-drop outlaws in your deck. Outlaws Merriment's a pretty good card in this format. I think it's better... Whatever format this was first printed in, it was kind of expensive and slow for that format, I thought. This format is a little bit more reasonable. You see other options, Explosive Derailment. I think I prefer Hellspur Brute. Explosive Derailment. Akiba. This Abika. This is very good if you want to have lots of upkeeps. It's much less good if you're trying to win. Obviously, there is the red-black card here, but this is like... There's not a ton of ways to madness it. I mean, there are a few, but this is mostly just 4-mana kill a creature, which I think you can do better than, and I'll be picking Mobile Homestead here. Part of picking Mobile Homestead is that I don't know for a fact that I'm going to be red-black, but assuming I'm some sort of a deck that's capable of crewing this, this is going to be a good card in that deck. This card, the Generous Plunderer, is a 2/2 menace that kind of attacks for 3. We both get a treasure. I guess I don't have to do the treasure thing if I don't want to, and I get to spend the treasure first. I get an untapped treasure token. I haven't had this card yet. I've had it played against me once or twice. I think that's going to be the pick. I think it's probably better than Prickly Pear. I do actually sort of like Double Down. I don't like it enough to dive into a new color, though. I have played against this card in Vintage Cube. It's kind of better in Vintage Cube because it's way more likely your opponent just has a bunch of artifacts as part of their deck. So we've got Bloach the Bog, which is perfectly fine if you're actually a green-black deck, which I'm not. Neutralize the Guards, which I do not like as a main deck card, but as a sideboard card, I think is pretty reasonable, and this is best of 3. There's also Nezumi Linkbreaker, which I like it a lot better in white-black than I like it in black-red, but I do really like getting some 1-drops in my deck if I get Hellspur Brute, especially if I get multiples. There's also Rakish Crew, which Could be playable, but Rakish Crew's really only going to wind up being playable if I get a deck that has a bunch of, or I play like a bunch of Nezumi Link Breakers. So I've got, this is perhaps the better one drop for red-black usually. I'm just going to be picking Unscrupulous Contractor, especially if I wind up playing with Nezumi Link Breaker in my deck. I'm having cards like Unscrupulous Contractor where you can get value out of the Link Breaker is pretty nice. There's also Skullduggery, but there's a Skullduggery in my opening pack, I believe, or one of the early packs. Decent chance I wheel it, and it's not Skullduggery is not a card that I want in multiples. There's also Mirage Mesa, but I think I'd rather just take the somewhat solid creature. Probably if that had been a red-black land that, you know, pinged so it committed a crime for Vadmir, I definitely would have picked the red-black land there. This seems like a pretty easy prickly pair. I'm not like completely locked into being red-black, but I haven't seen any real reasons to deviate. I haven't gotten any removal spells yet, but usually in red-black you get some. They should come eventually. Force of Vigor. I'm not sure if this is a card that it's okay to main deck. It's certainly really powerful if you actually get to blow up 2 targets with it, but I don't know that it really happens all that often. I'll just be picking Explosive Derailment, which is just the kind of removal spell I was looking for. We've got Return the Favor, which I don't think so. I don't think I'm interested in that. Another Link Breaker, which, like I said, red-black's usually not the best Link Breaker color pairing. I think I'm just going to take Dead-Eye Duelist. I do have one card that really rewards me for being able to, you know, do crimes repeatedly. And you can get other cards like that in red-black. And I was wrong that Skullduggery was in my original pack, but I was right that one was going to wheel. And that's another Skullduggery. I'll be taking Mind Raider, though. If you watch my first draft, I did wind up splashing and like getting a treasure from Mind Raider, which right now I think all of my creatures, with the exception of the Homestead, are outlaws. So I'm pretty sure this thing's an outlaw. All right. Things broke my way. I get a mythic that... I think this card has really good stats. It's perhaps not going to be at its best in my deck because my deck has a lot of creatures that it kills. Of course, you can also just, I guess, you discard it to get the -2/-2 ability. Also, I can probably draft around it a little bit more as we go along. So there is a Lively Dirge. I don't have any insane 4-drops yet. I do have a 1-drop that I'm probably going to want to play at least one of. I do have pretty good 2-drop. So I think that'll be the pick over Mourner's Surprise or Explosive Derailment. This is a bit of a speculative pick, though. I'm kind of banking on getting something that makes this card a standout card, which could easily happen. It's possible I wind up looking back, though, and regretting not just taking Explosive Derailment or Mourner's Surprise here. So things that, like, obviously the thing that I'm probably looking for the most right here is just getting a really good 4-drop rare. Like a Cool would be, or Hellspur Posse Boss, which is what I had last time. This seems like a pretty easy red-black land. I think Thunder Savo is like replacement level, basically. And Unscrupulous Contractor is certainly nothing special. My favorite card in this pack is certainly Smuggler's Surprise. I actually like that card a lot in green. I think it's quite good, but it is not at the level that you want to splash it. Also, to get the good effects, you actually need double green out of it. I'm also... it seems like I'm in really good shape to get enough playables, so I certainly can afford to be picking lands highly. Right now, I'm not particularly good at Vadmiring. I guess I've got 2 spells that do crimes, 1 creature. This thing you can use to commit a crime, but it is that's doing things the hard way for sure. I guess this can commit a crime too. Ooh, all right, we got an interesting pick. I'm not going to be taking an Intimidation campaign and be trying to splash it. I don't think that'd be good at all. It's really just between Hellspur Brute and Consuming Ashes. I think I just want to take Hellspur Brute. Consuming Ashes is certainly good, but I think this is. I think I'm in a really good position to have a really good deck for Hellspur Brute. Try to make my deck pretty aggressive. I was checking. This is not a outlaw, which is fine. I mean, I wouldn't really be using it to reduce the casting cost of Hellspur Brute in a meaningful way, probably. We have an option for Rakish Crew, but I think Prickly Pear is pretty clearly superior, so I'll be taking that one. I made the Lively Dirge pick, what, like 3 or 4 picks ago? So far, it's looking a little bit worse. We've got Desert's Due or Desperate Bloodseeker. Desperate Bloodseeker is a creature that commits a crime, which is certainly relevant. I think I'm just going to take Desert's Due, though, in part because I've got these 2 Hellspur Brutes, so I really want to bias my creatures towards being outlaws, which this is not. But I'm also going to want to have the removal spells in my deck, and this is not an exceptional removal spell, but it's fine. And so, like, I want, if I have a choice between, like, a medium removal spell or a medium non-rogue creature, or non-outlaw creature, I should go for the medium removal spell and hope to get, like, a medium outlaw creature down the road, which there's an option for a medium outlaw creature here, but I think Cunning Coyote's pretty strong, so I'll be picking that one. I don't need to have literally all of my creatures be outlaws. I just want to have, you know, a good number of them, so this thing is at least 4 mana pretty consistently, and sometimes it'll be 3. All right. I'm pretty happy with the first copy of Highway Robbery. I could have had a bunch of copies of Rakish Crew, but it's really not a particularly good card. I don't really feel like I'm missing anything by not getting it. Another way to commit crimes. I think I'm just going to pick Fake Your Own Death, which probably isn't going to make my deck, but I think I'm somewhat like creature heavy right now and not very spell heavy, and if I want it with just too many creatures, I'm going to want cards like Fake Your Own Death to make sure my creatures are able to attack comfortably. Hopefully I don't play 2 Highway Robberies, but maybe I will. I think none of these cards matter at all. I guess I'll theoretically hate draft. This might be an okay sideboard card. I don't think it's a very good main deck card in this format. So right now we're at 18 spells, 1 land, and a pretty high creature count. So that is, I think I'm in a pretty good spot. I'll be taking Reanimate here. I can, like, do, you know, discard the Harvester of Misery Reanimated on turn 3, which would, in some circumstances, is going to be insane. But this is mostly just, like, good, efficient card. There's also Brimstone Roundup in this pack, which is terrible. So at this point, I definitely would really like to see a removal spell and maybe a little bit to make Lively Dirge better. Are Warlocks outlaws? They are. I don't feel like there's all that many Warlocks in this set. Scalestorm Summoner seems pretty good in my deck. We've got the 2 Hellspur Brutes to trigger it. Another Warlock. I'm just drafting Warlock Tribal now. Don't mind me. It's starting to look like I kind of regret picking Lively Dirge over Explosive Derailment. This was definitely a speculative pick that... I don't know that I'm not going to play the Lively Dirge, but I think that I would like my deck slightly better right now if it was another Explosive Derailment. So if I Lively Dirge back the Coyote and like the Generous Plunderer, that's like some pretty fast haste damage. It's not the worst. And I'm definitely going to play... I'm going to play 1 Link Breaker. It's possible I can upgrade it to a Lackey. Not so far. This pack's just generally pretty bad. Certainly, I think I would prefer to play Outlaw's Fury over Fake Your Own Death. Maybe that's not even true. I don't know. But I already have a Highway Robbery and a Raven of Fell Omens in my stack of cards I'm not planning to play, and a Gold Pan. So, we'll add this. I think Fling is really quite poor. I don't think there's any circumstance where I would be playing it. All right. I'm pretty happy with Longhorn Sharpshooter. It's, you know, a little bit of removal, commits a crime, but it's also a outlaw. I guess I don't need... There isn't that much stuff that really needs to be on outlaw for me. It's just the Hellspur Brutes. I'm definitely not going to play Abraded Bluffs. I don't have enough stuff that wants that. I guess I'm going to take Return the Favor, which I'm not going to start, but I don't know if my opponents have something insane to copy, maybe I would be doing that. All right, nice. I'm getting my choice of removal spells. I think I want Explosive Derailment more. Ooh. This is a genuine outlaw payoff. Nice. And this is also like another... This is making me more excited about the Lively Dirge. Not going to play any of these cards. Rare draft it is. So this is 1 damage to target opponent, so it does commit crimes. We're at the point of what am I cutting from my deck, I think. I think I'm cutting Dead-Eye Duelist. I'm going to rare draft again. So options would be Skullduggery. I don't want any of these cards. Dead-Eye Duelist. Not going to cut Highway Robbery. I'm not going to cut the Contractor. I'm not going to cut any of the expensive stuff. So maybe a 3-drop would be on the chopping block. But I think I'm just going to cut the Dead-Eye Duelist. The other option is I could try to make my deck a little bit better for Harvester of Misery, but I don't think it's worth it. I think I just need to accept that there's going to be that this is going to be something that I'm probably going to want to discard more than cast. But you know, you can also play games to set it up. It's a mythic, so people aren't really going to see it coming. How many creatures do I have if I cut the Duelist? 15. The Duelist is also my only creature that doesn't crew the Homestead. I guess the Link Breaker doesn't as well. Yeah, I think I'm going to do this. Skullduggery also works with the Harvester of Misery pretty well. If I have 6 mana, I can, you know, make one of my 2/2s a 3/3 and maybe make one of their 3 toughness things die to the Harvester of Misery. Yep, seems like a very straightforward build. I guess if I wanted to, I could maybe consider adding Quilled Charger for something. Problem with that is it's not an outlaw. So it doesn't help the Hurls Brutes. It doesn't work with Vile Smasher. It does work with Harvester of Misery. I guess there's a bit of a danger I'm just going to flood out with this deck. I don't think there's much I can do about that, though. I guess the one thing I could play a second Highway Robbery. That doesn't sound very good to me, though. And how many removal spells do I have? 2 derailments. Deserts do. And then also the Sharpshooter and the Harvester of Misery. And the Sharpshooter can deal damage to people's face. Vile Smasher can deal damage to people's face. So I have like a little bit of reach, but really not very much. Pretty strong hand. In some ways it's a really strong hand because I'm going to have a turn 3 Hellspur Brute because of the treasure. I'm going to have to give my opponent a treasure to do that. So it might not even be worth it. Is it going to be worth it? I can alternately just play the Scalestorm Summoner. And then have the Hellspur Brute next turn, probably. I think that's better. Because this way, unless they do something to make it so the Scalestorm Summoner can attack next turn, I'm going to get to attack and make a 3-1. It's just going to get out of hand really quick if they can't block. I also have the option, I could make the treasure next turn and then play Prickly Pear and Hellspur Brute. I don't have any good 4s to get with this, which is a little bit awkward. I'm gonna wait to see what they do, but if they don't do anything too special, I'm gonna play both my cards. Yeah, I'm gonna play both my cards. Sadly, I didn't draw mountains, so I have to actually expend my treasure, but I don't know that I really had big plans for that treasure anyway. It's also a little bit sad that I have to like reveal that I'm just dumping my hand on the board like this, so they probably are much more incentivized to trade, but I need to do it to get the 3-1 dinosaur. It's like the whole point of this turn. Alright, so they're going to trade. I'm not surprised. Which means that next turn, I definitely have the option of Lively Dirge and getting a Link Breaker and the Scalestorm Summoner back, which is pretty good. I could certainly still lose this game, but they're going to have probably some, pretty strong rare creatures to beat my start. I don't think they're going to be able to beat it with commons. But it looks like they're going to try. Oh, they have Dust Animus. And Congregation Griff. Alright, I don't think I need to give them any more treasures. So my options are Explosive Derailment, the Naturalist, or just suit up for an attack. I guess I'll play my land. It's possible, like, I guess if they blocked and then tried to play Snakeskin Veil, I would Explosive Derailment, and I might as well pick off the treasure as well as the creature. Take up the shield. They didn't do this right. They definitely should have blocked first. Sometimes it's a little bit unclear whether or not you're supposed to block. That was not one of those times. Like 100% they should have blocked the dinosaur token before they did anything. Had they done that, they would have been at 3 higher life, but probably still died this turn. Guess we got a little bit of a sideboard this time. You can return the favor, take up the shield. I don't think you can change the target of Snakeskin Veil. I'm gonna look that up real fast. Target creature you control. So I can move it to a different creature they control. And obviously you can just copy it and target one of your own creatures. I don't think I need to get this fancy. And then I don't think this is a Heartless Pillage matchup. Or Dead-Eye Duelist. I can't imagine there are many Fling matchups. Yeah, I think I'm happy with my deck the way it is. And if you promised me I was going to draw 2 swamps in a row, I'd be up for it, but not like this. Sand also pretty bad, but definitely keepable. Guess I'm getting rid of... Contractor? It's not the Prickly Pear. Could be the Harvester of Misery. Yeah, maybe that one's even worse, honestly. The Contractor, at least, like, I could maybe sack the token from the Prickly Pear. Alright. Maybe things are looking up a little. Although I'm not good at criming with this. Certainly with this hand. This is one of the kind of cards, though, where even if your deck isn't particularly good at doing it, your opponent doesn't know that. So they may place a higher premium on it. I was thinking about bluffing with it, but I think now that I drew an actual way to crime, I'm not going to try to bluff them. I'm just going to do that. Just between that and the Prickly Pear. We now know that they have Gitrog, a Ravenous Ride, and they have a Snakeskin Veil, which I'm not surprised they have Snakeskin Veil in their deck. It really felt like they had it in their hand at the end of the last turn of the last game, just because... Mostly because, like, timing tells. Which... The deck looks pretty good, I would say. I think I'm attacking. My deck is not a deck that really wants to hang back. I'm not such an aggressive deck that I want to like go menace there and just be like, you can't block. I don't care about my life total at all, but draining 3 life from them, and then, I mean, if they can crack back with the Cactarantula, but it means it's tapped, so it's not going to be blocking, which is something. This game, probably, if they draw Take Up the Shield, if they've drawn Take Up the Shield, I'm not going to win, I would guess. Ooh, they naturalized for a Bucolic Ranch. Once it gets to 6/6, it's Menace, lifelink. This is a good double block by them, just in case I have Skullduggery, which I guess I should be playing in full control mode to represent it, because if they're paying any attention, they realize I don't have it. Hopefully their hand's kind of bad. If their hand is not insane, this game is still winnable. I don't know if I would say it's easy, but it's possible. And like the last turn wasn't that good. They played what, Patron Naturalist and Bristleback Sentry, Bristlepack Sentry. So like they didn't have something insane to play. They milled one of what's presumably one of their high picks. They definitely have a Dust Animus that I know is in their deck. Probably, if they had it in their hand, they would have plotted it last turn rather than play the Bristlepack Sentry, though. Okay. Like I said, this thing does sort of put the fear into people. I think we're about to get to the point where it gets hard for me. That's pretty bad for me. What are they getting back? Maybe Miriam. I do have a 3/3 reach. Something to be proud of. Harvester of Misery is on the bottom of my deck, so I don't need to worry about that one. I have one Explosive Derailment left in my deck. It's actually kind of a good draw. I'm thinking about whether I should even attack with the sharpshooter. I think I'm willing to. Not willing to trade the Rattleback Apothecary with the Patient Naturalist. This is pretty good for me. If I'm actually getting the Shepherd of the Clouds to block and die. Alright, I got him down to 5. I don't think there's anything I can draw that's going to cause me to win the game next turn. And I'm about to be in... I'm going to have to block the Shepherd of the Clouds next turn or die. Maybe they'll forget their creature has vigilance and not attack me. Or I suppose I could also just draw... something that commits a crime and gain life with the Rattleback Apothecary again. This has been good this game. I think it's generated... like, how many times did I attack with lifelink? I think it's twice. Maybe it was 3 times. I think it's been like a 7-point life swing. Or 7 life gained, I guess. So this thing is a mount, right? I haven't seen much black mana from them, but they can cast it off the Bucolic Ranch. My plan of them not realizing their creature had vigilance didn't work. It's disappointing. I think I have a good attack. Present, I have lethal, alright? They only have 5 blockers. I have 7 attackers, all of which... Oh no, well, I have lethal if I make the treasure from the Plunderer. Because they'd have to let a 3-power guy through in addition to the Coyote. But if they have a spell in their hand, it's not going to be lethal. If they have a removal spell in their hand, I'm just dead. If they have Take Up the Shield, I'm not 100% dead, but I think I almost definitely lose. They have that. doesn't do much, but it seems like they might have another spell. They're plotting Dust Animus. Alright, I'm definitely making the treasure, because I want to win if I draw a spell that gets one blocker out of the way. Make sure that's happening. Oh, I also get this. Does that? I think this might actually kill them too. I didn't do any math, but I think if, given that I drew a land, it's this or nothing. Looks like it's going to work. I didn't realize that the Generous Plunderer did crimes. Target opponent creates a tapped treasure token. There you go. I learned something. All right. Nice. As with most hands that contain highway robbery in your opening hand, this hand doesn't look great, but it's probably going to play out pretty well. Another green-white deck. What are the odds? This hand's going to play out pretty slowly. If they don't play something pretty good this turn, I'll be pretty close to being stabilized. Oh, that's pretty good. I can't even root to draw the Harvester of Misery off the top of my deck because I don't have double black. I have double black now, but it doesn't help me. I'm gonna let them get me with Take Up the Shield or Snakeskin Veil, because if I just kill the Airings right while they're tapped out, then they can just murk the Frontier Seeker and they have a good attack. What is this? Aloe Alchemist. Sure. think there's no reason to let them surveil there. I'm gonna, if they attack, I'm gonna trade, but I think they're kind of priced into attacking almost. This is the Aloe Alchemist. Ooh, it's a Sterling Hound. Nice. I'm a little bit worried about what happens if their last card is a removal spell. So I'm getting 2 blockers out. Also, next turn, I'm going to have a Merc left over from the Link Breaker, almost definitely, regardless of what they do. So I'll be able to play the Brute and then play the Coyote and haste it over. Potentially. Vigilante. This game would have been so easy if I had had a 2-drop, so I could have played Skullduggery before I got hit so many times by the Trained Earrings. I think that's a scry twice, and I guess they surveilled once. Like, I looted 1 land away, and I'm probably like +2 lands. I think it's worth thinking about things like that, just because I think that probably my deck is a little bit more live than theirs. Even though I don't really have... I guess I have Harvester of Misery, which would be a pretty good draw on this board. Yeah, this is going to hurt. I think I'm dead. Yeah. I wouldn't have died if I'd kept the Hellspur Brute back, but I would have been in horrific shape. I don't think I want any of this stuff. Just want to be on the play. It's my kind of hand. I'll see what they do with their turn. I think that given the contents of my hand, I'm gonna do the turn 3 Hellspur Brute play. What is this? Shoot. Like, while I do have 3 mana plays, they're not particularly good. Probably I'm not going to want to give him a treasure next turn. Let's see what they do with their turn, but I'm expecting my turn to just be plot the sharpshooter. Yep. So I don't think I need to give him another treasure. Or do I? No, I don't think so. They can, if they want, trade the Plunderer for the Merc token, but that means they can't double block the Hellspur Brute. Do they have literally nothing, or do they have Fierce Retribution? I feel like I have to attack. Then I'm going to have post-combat Vadmir Sharpshooter, another Hellspur Brute, and I don't need this Hellspur Brute to be alive to do that. So let's just attack and see what they have up. Alright, their plan was to just take some damage. Do I want to play my whole hand out? I think it's fine to. That final takedown card is, I think, 6 mana to kill the board. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm looking it up. I don't know what it's called. It's going to make it hard to look up. Final Showdown. Yeah, that's 6 mana. They could have Fell the Mighty. It'd be kind of a weird inclusion in their deck. They had a Holy Cow. That was a lot of effort into not playing around Holy Cow. Is this another creature? So I sacrifice a creature. So it's always just, it can just be 2 damage to your opponent. Needs to be the last 2 damage, but it can be 2 damage. Oh, it's a fake desert. They just played fake desert. I'm hoping they don't have to pick up the shield. That was my thought process. Had they been tapped out, I might have contracted them first, because it is a crime for Vadmir. I do have to take up the shield, which makes me sad, but I guess it doesn't still kill them. Up. They'd have been dead if I'd just done that pre-combat. have something. Probably an irrelevant planes. What could I draw that would be good? Harvester of Misery would be good. Lively Dirge would be good. That's not bad. Highway Robbery would be good. Could have been worse. person loves playing in full control mode. Alright, I'm glad I didn't blow it by not contracting myself pre-combat, not thinking about how Take It to Shield would work out. Because I definitely made that way harder than it needed to be. So Take Up the Shield, Snakeskin Veil. They have a Holy Cow. They have this is the person that had the Ornery Brushwag in the first game. Seems like mostly bread and butter, white green with an Ornery Brushwag so far. Certainly a fine hand. I might have a bit of a tricky choice. Because if I play the prickly... Wait, if I play this... No, I don't have a tricky choice. I'm just going to play the Summoner. And attack with it. Because next turn I'm going to play the Hellspur Brute. If I hit a land here, I'll be able to play the Prickly Pear and the Hellspur Brute. I did not hit a land, spoiler. I hit something pretty good, though. This seems like it's a really good card against their deck, so that is nice. It's a Holy Cow. Might have a tough decision about how to attack next turn, depending on what they do with their turn. This Harvester of Misery is a little bit tricky to play with my deck. It's definitely not just I drew my rare, cast it as soon as I get 5 mana. No, I think I'm going to cast it this turn now. There's no chance they just chump the Hellspur Brute with the Stable Master. The only question is, do they trade or do they take the damage? I think even if... I think regardless of what they do, I'm just playing Harvester of Misery. It's a 5-power menace creature. Hits very hard, and they're going to have no creatures in play to try to block it after this. So I lose my dinosaur token, which I did work really hard to get. But sometimes you can't keep it all. It's an Inventive Wingsmith. So the only real question is here is, am I reanimating something? I think if I was going to reanimate anything, it would be the Holy Cow. Maybe I should have done that before I played the Prickly Pear, because I probably would have thought at least about keeping the Prickly Pear in my hand if I'd known I was drawing that. Alright, a little sloppy, but I have faith in my deck. I would like to play first, and I do like this hand. I think I'm going to play Link Breaker rather than trying to pitch at the Highway Robbery. It's going to be another really fast Hellspur Brute draw. So if I draw a land, I can play the Apothecary and the Hellspur Brute. They're damaging my deck. Did not draw a land. Trying to think, is it, so if I reanimate the Mine Raider, I have 3 guys out. I still don't have enough mana to play the Hellspur Brute and Coyote at this turn. I think I still want to reanimate it though. I'm going okay. I got a grip full of cards though. And I've given them 2 free treasures, so they're going to get to cast them. Ugh. Yeah, they're really going to get to cast them. That was a weird attack, I think. Not surprised that they block like that. Maybe I should have given the Mine Raider Menace, but I guess I didn't know I was drawing the Lively Dirge. Giving the Mine Raider Menace doesn't really do anything unless someone Alpha Strikes, so yeah, I think I probably attacked right. That's a pretty easy block. There is this issue of them having 5 cards in their hand. Haven't really worked out how I'm going to get around that. I don't know, it's another Desperate Bloodseeker. This Generous Plunderer card would be a lot better if they got the treasures, but they never untapped. Really checking out all the options. I'm going to need to draw a really good spell next turn. Is that the third Beat 'em Up Desperado? Your deck's quite good. It's pretty cool, too. I don't think I can win by trying to trade. I could kill all of my own creatures. Which doesn't appeal to me that much, if I'm being honest. Oh, I don't even have enough mana. To play the Harvester of Misery, but I can channel it, which works at instant speed. So maybe something good's going to happen here. Okay. Seems like they have something. So this is going to be dead. These things are all going to be alive. I can get up to 14 because of lifelink, but they can just crack back and kill me. So I'm going to concede rather than show them any more cards. The deck is just all 2/4s. Playing 2/4 tribal. This may seem a little odd, but I'm going to board out Desert's Due for Fake Your Own Death. I think it plays better against the 7 million 2/4s they had. I guess it plays worse against Desperate Bloodseeker, so maybe that's too fancy. Desert's Due is also pretty good against the 2/4s. This is a hand where it'd be good to draw land. Land, or if I can't have a land, a 2-drop would be nice. Or if they just milled me and I could reanimate something, that'd be fine too. Oh no, my lands. Please don't tap my lands. Kind of feels like they have tyrant scoring. I don't think this mobile homestead's getting to attack. Yeah. Goodbye. I think I'm gonna just go max damage. This time. Not try to get him with skullduggery somehow. I guess, yeah, I messed up. I should have just pumped this and attacked and see if they blocked. Because if they block, I can get them both with skullduggery. Ow. That was a good draw. You may be wondering why was that a good draw. It's because I could do that with it. Come on, no Bonnie. They could flash in Rooftop Assassin, but I have Desert Stew. This doesn't seem like the kind of person who would put Snakeskin Veil in their deck. I think they just have Bonnie as their only green card, probably. Maybe Oko. Yeah, I continue to think that this is the right way to have my deck configured. It sounds really good if my top card is a swamp, but it's pretty bad if I don't draw a swamp really fast. I'd like my other hand back, please. All right. It's a good start. It's respectable. I prefer the creature, but still something. Getting Tyrant Scorned again. Vadmir is here to get a counter when they play Rooftop Assassin. Or to be consumed in the ashes. Don't like that they're thinking. Oh, they went top even. Yikes. And they milled 3 spells. Seems excessive to me. I'm bad. Missed a point of damage here. Yeah. Well, at least I drew that guy. All right, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to end of turn Explosive Derailment to finish off the Bonnie. And then I'm going to top deck Reanimate, and I'm going to reanimate it, and they're not going to have a bounce spell. Or they're going to have a Sterling Hound, which I'm not going to be able to pick off for free because obviously I need to kill this Bonnie. Supposed to draw Reanimate. I really should have attacked first. Yeah, maybe it was right to attack second. Well, that's not good for me. I think we're probably past the point where I could reasonably win. I guess I don't know what I could draw. My deck is not very good against Bonnie Paul Clear Cutter. Most decks are not. Ooh, a land. That'll probably save me. I'm leaving it on top. Right. I'm defeated. Thanks for watching. 2-1 with that deck is, you know, would have been nice to do better, but I can't really be disappointed. That was not the strongest deck in the world, and I did just lose 2 games to the best rare in the format. That's how it goes sometimes. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.